Atlantic City, New Jersey is one of the most popularly known beach resort towns in America, and yet for some reason nobody wants to go there anymore.
Casinos in the U.S. rack up billions of dollars in profits each year. But as they pop up in more states and expand in places like New England, classic gambling spots suffer. Case in point, Atlantic City.
Most people I hear talking about vacationing in New Jersey want to go to another beach resort town only 19 miles down the beach from Atlantic City, Ocean City. These two cities are complete opposites to each other, like night and day or apples and oranges. And the more I started reading about their differences, the more curious I became about knowing why. So for our short time in New Jersey, we actually decided to go to both cities because I really wanted to see firsthand how these two sister cities became so different, how one of them is thriving and doing great and the other one is becoming really run down. So let's start first by looking at how they're similar. Both cities have beautiful beach access, a massive boardwalk, and fun amusement rides for all ages. They also both have bike and Surrey rentals that you can use to pedal all around the boardwalk. We loved it so much, though I will say we left New Jersey with some sore muscles that we didn't even know existed. On paper, these two cities sound so similar, so it was hard for me to wrap my mind around how different they were until we actually drove through each city. So before I just start listing off the differences between the cities, let's start first just by talking how we felt. Ocean City was the first location we visited, and we immediately found ourselves smiling and saying, wow, as we drove through the streets. The area was jam-packed with beach houses and condos. There were so many playgrounds, mini golf businesses, and cute restaurants. There were kids biking down the streets. Policemen were sitting on every block, making sure safety and order was upheld. It felt like a vacation wonderland, and it begged to be lived in and explored. The next day, we drove through Atlantic City, and when we drove through, we went silent.
Yeah, I don't know about the boardwalk yet, but just by driving around, this seems to be like not as nice as Ocean City. Like there's weirdly vacant lots and empty houses.
There were empty lots scattered everywhere, places where people could easily build on, but no one wanted to buy it. There were almost no tourists or kids on the roads anywhere. Instead, they were replaced by many homeless people. In fact, we visited a park for Ian and quickly became uncomfortable for the presence of multiple homeless people who were living in the park. It felt like a massive ghetto and a drug scene. Deserted, dirty, and way too quiet. This is not what we expected to find, by the way. We thought originally that when we went to Ocean City, we would see a lot of like families, kids, especially small kids. And then when we went to Atlantic City, we thought we were going to see like college-age students or adults. Instead, what we found is the first city was thriving, doing great, seemed really healthy. And the second city was just struggling to stay afloat. So now let's just talk about the differences between the two cities. And the biggest difference that we saw right off the bat was the kinds of businesses that were on the boardwalk.
If we all drove cars like this instead of our cars, we'd be in much better shape, methinks. And Ian's in favor. He's steering for Mama. Better steering for me than for you.
Yeah.
Because mine's fake. And over there.
The beaches look amazing.
This is our first view of the boardwalk ever.
On a bike.
Oh, how fun, Nathan. I want to come back already, and we haven't even left.
So we've made it the whole length where it says Surrey carts are allowed, because there's certain parts you can't take a Surrey cart. So we've done the whole thing we could with this thing.
Yeah, and one way's downhill, and
Yep.
the other way's uphill.
And we're going downhill now.
Yeah, which feels way better.
In case you're wondering, it only takes an hour to do the whole thing in a Surrey cart with an Ian and some little stops. Because we paid for 2 hours because I was worried. One of the many reasons Ocean City is family friendly is because of the arcades. Escape rooms, mirror mazes, mini golf, more mini golf, PP spots. Rides like roller coasters, a playland with rides and other fun attractions, and more escape rooms, more golf, and more golf, more arcades, there's even indoor golf, and go-karts.
We ended our day at Ocean City with a riveting game of putt-putt and some extremely unhealthy food. We had such a great day though, and we were very curious to see how Atlantic City would feel comparatively tomorrow. off. We're gonna try to do it as similarly as Ocean City to see what the options are for families. But just right next to the bike rental, there is mini golf here, and there is also a playground. It's kind of nice though, because yesterday we were like weaving our Surrey around all these people, versus today, there's like nobody on here. It's like empty.
Casino and sports betting.
Psychic reading, tattoos.
Worship surf bar. What? What are you worshiping?
Sports bar and arcade. Here's the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Another resort and bar and casino. We didn't get off our Surrey as much just because the wind was so intense, so sorry about the windy audio, by the way. But the biggest difference in the businesses was the many casinos, bars, tattoo parlors, and other businesses like that. There were similar food options, but many more galleries and adult businesses versus fun, family-friendly businesses which we found at the other location. Also, I should add that it seemed like about half the businesses were closed, which felt very different from the bustling Ocean City. One big difference between the two boardwalks is the other boardwalk that we did yesterday in Ocean City is about 2.5 miles long, and then this one at Atlantic City is actually over 5 miles long, right?
Yeah.
So it's bigger but less businesses, so it's a totally different feeling.
The Yard is where one time I was like in, I don't know where, I think it was up in Maine, and somebody... Georgia, and then somebody spent money at the Yard, and I called my credit card company. I'm like, I'm in Georgia, I couldn't have bought something from the Yard. Somebody had just walked in and said like, oh yeah, me called somebody, got the number offline somehow.
One big problem with all-inclusive casinos is that it makes it so the people staying there never need to leave the casino if they don't want to, which means the rest of the city does not benefit financially from most of the tourists that visit Atlantic City. The casinos at Atlantic City used to be considered the Vegas of the East Coast, but now there are much better and safer casinos speckled across the East Coast, some as close as Philadelphia. Many of the casinos in Atlantic City are struggling in a field that is now oversaturated, and post-COVID, they are just trying to stay afloat with enough customers that even want to come to Atlantic City. It doesn't help that the city as a whole feels run down and unsafe. No matter how amazing the casino looks on the inside, it's still located in a ghetto with drugs and crime running rampant through the streets. The wind is so bad, the Dane is pushing us along the street. You can tell by Ian's hair. We can't pedal uphill in the wind, you know?
Not in that wind, it's so gusty.
Yeah, it is. New Jersey as a state has made it illegal for casinos to be anywhere in the state except for Atlantic City, which makes Atlantic City feel a little bit like a containment zone. Things that aren't legal anywhere else in the state are legal in Atlantic City.
Everything is legal in New Jersey.
Which may explain why this city has some of the highest violent crime rates in the state of New Jersey. Another huge difference between these two cities is their policies or their laws. Atlantic City has things like alcohol, drugs, gambling, prostitution, all things that go hand in hand with businesses like casinos. Ocean City, on the other hand, is a dry city, meaning no bar scenes or drunk tourists. There are also signs up along the entire boardwalk reminding people that smoking is not permitted, and we actually saw this enforced a few times as policemen patrolled the area and required people to put out cigarettes. It is amazing at how different kinds of policies and practices can really change the entire feeling of a city. One thing going for Atlantic City, though, is it holds a lot of historical importance. Like, for instance, did you know that the game Monopoly was based on locations in Atlantic City? Also, did you know that the Miss America beauty pageant originated in Atlantic City, if you're into that type of thing? And lastly, Atlantic City is also where Donald Trump made a lot of his money, as he ran multiple failed casinos there and managed to learn how to break laws in a business that by nature gets to be extremely lax on crime. Ultimately, getting to visit both of the cities and comparing and contrasting them ended up being really fun. For future visits to New Jersey, though, we personally would choose Ocean City over Atlantic City any day of the week, but that probably has something to do with the fact we have a 2-year-old and we are pretty passionate about putt-putt.
Nope. Yeah, you got a hole in one! Good job, Bubba! Come, you got a hole in one! That's your first ever!
Yeah, it's your ball.
Wow! Let's go to the next one!